A man collapses on a crowded sidewalk. Dozens of people walk past him in the next few minutes. Some glance down. Most don't even slow their pace. Nobody stops. Now, picture the opposite. The same man collapses on an empty street, with just one person nearby. That one person is far more likely to rush over and help. This isn't a story about cruelty or busy schedules. It's one of the most well-documented, most counterintuitive findings in all of psychology. The more people who witness someone in trouble, the less likely any single person is to help. Today, we're breaking down exactly why and what research says can actually override it. Why does nobody help? The bystander effect. This area of research took off after a widely reported 1964 case in New York, where a young woman was attacked near her apartment building while, according to newspaper accounts at the time, numerous neighbors reportedly heard or witnessed parts of the incident without intervening. Later research and journalism revisited the original reporting and found it was exaggerated in several ways. Fewer people likely had a clear, direct view of the attack than initially claimed. But the case pushed two psychologists, John Darley and Bibb Latané, to ask a scientific question that turned out to matter far beyond that one event. Does the presence of other people actually change whether any individual helps? Their answer, confirmed across decades of follow-up research, was yes, and the effect was often the opposite of what people expected. In one of Latané and Darley's classic experiments, participants sat in a room filling out a questionnaire. Smoke began seeping in through a vent. When a participant was alone, the vast majority noticed quickly and left to report it. But when 3 participants sat in the room together, and 2 of them were actors instructed to calmly ignore the smoke, the real participant was dramatically less likely to react, often sitting there as the room filled with haze, glancing at the other people instead of acting. This wasn't about cowardice. It revealed 2 separate psychological mechanisms working together, which we'll break down next. The first mechanism is called diffusion of responsibility. When you're the only witness to an emergency, 100% of the responsibility to act sits on you. There's no ambiguity. But when 9 other people are also watching, that sense of personal responsibility doesn't stay at 100%. For each person, it gets psychologically divided among everyone present. Each individual bystander ends up feeling only a fraction of their responsibility and unconsciously assumes someone else, maybe someone more qualified, maybe someone closer will step in instead. The tragic irony is that everyone can be thinking this exact same thought at the exact same time, which is precisely why in large crowds, no one ends up acting at all. The second mechanism is called pluralistic ignorance, and it's just as powerful. In an ambiguous situation, is that man having a medical emergency, or is he just resting? Is that couple arguing, or is something more dangerous happening? People instinctively look around at how others are reacting to decide how serious it is. The problem is, everyone else is doing the exact same thing at the exact same moment. Each bystander sees a crowd that looks calm on the surface, because everyone is trying to appear composed while secretly unsure what's happening. And each person concludes, if this were really an emergency, someone would already look more alarmed. So the entire group collectively misreads the situation as less urgent than it actually is, based entirely on each other's masked uncertainty. There's a related pattern researchers have documented. Bystanders often unconsciously scan the crowd for someone who seems more qualified to help, someone in a uniform, someone who looks confident, someone closer to the situation, and mentally defer to that person, even if no such person actually steps forward. This creates a strange collective stall. Everyone is quietly waiting for a more capable person to take charge, while being completely capable themselves of calling for help, checking on the person, or simply asking, "Are you okay?" The barrier isn't ability. It's this diffuse, unspoken assumption that someone more responsible than you is already handling it. This is the part that surprises people most. Our intuition tells us more witnesses should mean more safety, more eyes, more help available. But meta-analyses combining dozens of bystander studies have found the opposite. Pattern holds remarkably consistently. As the number of bystanders present increases, the likelihood that any single person intervenes tends to decrease. It's important to note this effect isn't absolute in situations with very obvious, unambiguous danger, or among people who know each other well. Groups can and do act quickly, but in ambiguous public settings among strangers, which describes most real-world emergencies, the math works against the victim. More witnesses often means more diffusion, more uncertainty, and more silent waiting. So what actually breaks the bystander effect? The single most well-supported technique is shockingly simple. Eliminate the diffusion of responsibility by making the request specific. Instead of shouting, "Somebody call an ambulance!" which lets everyone assume someone else will do it. Safety trainers teach a direct approach. Pick one specific person. Describe them clearly in the blue jacket, and give them one specific task. Call 911 now. The moment, responsibility, is assigned to a named individual instead of a faceless crowd. That diffusion collapses. That one person now carries 100% of the responsibility. And research on emergency response training shows this dramatically. Increases the odds that help actually arrives. A second technique tackles pluralistic ignorance directly, saying out loud, clearly and confidently, that what's happening actually is an emergency. Because so much of bystander freezing comes from social uncertainty, not wanting to overreact, not wanting to look foolish. One person stating plainly, "This is an emergency. This person needs help," removes the ambiguity for everyone else at once. It gives the entire group permission to stop, performing calm, and start reacting to what's actually in front of them. Safety researchers consistently find that naming a crisis out loud is one of the fastest ways to convert a frozen crowd into an active one. Interestingly, research also shows the reverse of the bystander effect. Once one person breaks from the crowd and starts helping, others tend to follow almost immediately. That first mover effectively becomes the more qualified person everyone else was unconsciously waiting for. This means you, personally, don't need everyone else to act first. Being willing to be the first person to move, to ask if someone's okay, to make the call, to step forward, doesn't just help the person in front of you. It very often unlocks the entire group behind you, turning a room full of hesitant witnesses into a room full of helpers. So, why does nobody help? It's rarely because people don't care. It's because responsibility quietly splits among everyone present, and uncertainty spreads just as easily as calm does. The fix isn't demanding that people be braver. It's understanding the mechanism well enough to interrupt it, pointing at one person, naming the emergency out loud, or simply being willing to move first. Knowing this doesn't just make you more likely to help someone else. It means that if you're ever the one who needs help in a crowd, you'll know exactly what to say to make sure someone actually does. If this helped you understand human behavior in crowds a little better, subscribe to Human Science. Every week, we break down one real study about how your mind actually works.